Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So as you may have noticed, it's been a little bit of a while since I've actually posted a video, and that is because I've been super busy with examinations. That sort of time of year where things get heated up, because university life otherwise can be relatively more relaxed and allow for some internet gaming. Anyways, I have finished my degree now, so it's a positive, and luckily for you guys I suppose, if you like my videos, I will be able to make more in the near future as I have more time freed up. So what exactly are we looking at today? Well, I plan on just giving you guys some more information on two of my tanks, namely my Magicka Nightblade here, and also my Templar tank, the Stamina variant. So one of the first things I've noticed when testing out my Swarmmother Nightblade is that often the set can proc on melee NPCs, which is a problem, because if you're avoiding AoEs and trying to mitigate damage as a tank should be doing, then suddenly the set doesn't become all that useful. So to that effect, it really pays to look around you before you move and avoid damaging AoEs to see are there any more ranged mobs that I need to drag in. And then in that case you can strategically drop block in certain situations so that you don't waste that 2-second cooldown. And then consequently it means that you can save a few seconds. Now obviously it isn't a big deal, but I think it certainly can allow you to get a little bit more out of the set than you would otherwise. Also, as someone mentioned before, and I didn't mention it myself in a video, is that obviously you don't need to use the Swarmmothers in every situation. Some fights where there's no mobs that can actually be dragged, you can actually just switch back to Bloodspawn or your tanking set of choice. So it's definitely an interchangeable set, and if you get comfortable with doing that, I would fully recommend doing so. Though in this video obviously I don't do that, but in my defense we are fighting Blackheart and there are mobs that need to be chained in, as you will see. And luckily, unlike my last video, I don't get polymorphed, so I actually do get to work on some AD control. Now another thing, if you did watch my last video, you may have noticed that I was using Siphoning Strikes on both bars. Now obviously this isn't effective because Siphoning Strikes is effectively just a buff you should be keeping on your back bar and applying as much as you need it or as soon as it drops off. Now what I've replaced it with is, probably no surprise, Heroic Slash, and this is great because of damage reduction and ultimate regain. Now a few things to this effect. You may be thinking, stamina's quite low on this tank, especially if I tweaked it a bit more as well. And would I really be wanting to so liberally use it? Well, Siphoning Strikes is really great, and if you just practice auto-weaving or heavy attacking every so often in between abilities, you can really ensure that your stamina stays up quite high despite its low pull. Another fast factor as well is that I do like Dark Shades on my Nightblade. It's a nice Magicka minor maim application tool. But if using Heroic Slash it's kind of wasted, and so I'm still thinking about what I can replace that slot with. There are a few ideas I have, but nothing that I think really adds too much, so maybe if you have any ideas there that you'd be willing to share, I'd be open to it. I know you can perhaps do the other morph of Dark Shades and do some teleport shenanigans, though I don't quite know how efficient that would be. It would be flashy tanking for sure, but as to whether it would actually be worth my time and if it would detract from my tanking otherwise, I'm not entirely sold on it quite yet. So just before I get into discussion regarding my Stamina Templar tank, some bit of comedy actually did occur during one of my random pickup groups for a pledge, and evidently one of my DPS decided that this boss was just too much for him. The stress got to him, I suppose, because this was quite a long fight, and he decided to, well, take matters into his own hands. And well, that was all she wrote for him, I suppose, but honestly at the time it was quite amusing. I think this fight took upwards of maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes to down, so but look, on the bright side, we got through it, and at least they give it a good shot, so I guess he provided me a bit of entertainment as well. So now on to a few things on my Templar tank. Now if you saw my last video, which is a while ago now, so fair enough if you haven't, but basically I found that my Stamina tank had some resource management issues. I kept on running low on stamina quite frequently, and I really do like to have a relatively high stable resource pool so as to react to any situations that require significant ability use, because I feel like otherwise you're a bit inflexible, and as such if things start to go wrong, well, they really go wrong if you can't use the abilities that you need to help your group in a way that you don't normally have to. Also in comparison, I think this is probably an issue for Templars more broadly, Nightblade tanks and DK tanks honestly have multiple ways to really easily maintain resources, and in some way you're actually spoiled using them. I did start using a DK tank and then moved to my Nightblade, so for me I kind of had to relearn how to tank properly, and I found that on my Templar tank it's a really useful strategy is to heavy attack quite often, but also to use Blazing Shield when you're doing so. This means that even though you're taking more damage, you are kind of allowing yourself enough time to successfully get that heavy attack off and probably not take too much damage, and if you do take a little bit extra, it's mitigated with that shield. So I think that's a useful way to solve the problem there. One of the semi-downsides, or I mean you might say it a little bit amusing, is that your healer will often assume that you're running low on stamina and actually out of stamina, so he will throw you shards, and look, shards do help and it's great, but I think sometimes, I'm not sure if you'll see it here, but sometimes I'll be fighting a boss and I'll be heavy attacking just to keep my stamina, you know, roughly about 70 to 80% when I have some downtime in between buff applications or ability applications, such as taunts. And, well, maybe you should let your healer know if you do try this build out that, look, I am okay on stam, I do appreciate it, but don't feel too worried when you see me heavy attacking. Because often when you see other tanks heavy attacking, which goes back to the resource management point, they actually are very low on stamina. So, yeah, it is fun in that you do have to kind of work harder to tank and keep your resources up, but ease of play certainly still goes to DKs and Nightblades, and if you're just looking for a fun tank to play, which doesn't require too much effort on your part to maintain your resources, I certainly wouldn't recommend this build too much, though if you kind of want to maximise the amount of DPS your team can do. Team's a bad word for this, but I'm going to go with it. If you want to maximise their DPS, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe Templar tanking is the only way you can apply all 4 resistance shred buffs. Plus when you get other resistance like Alkosh or Mephalas is not the right one, but it escapes me at the moment. It's one from City of Ash 1. But honestly, I think you know the one I mean. It reduces armor as well. But yeah, when you get them, you can even further increase your Templar tanking ability to kind of reduce enemy resistances. That's about all I had with respect to talking about my tanks themselves. Just a few closing remarks, I guess, as to where I'm headed from here. I do plan on doing more trials with my DK tank, which I haven't been playing too much. I plan on bringing back out again, as I do have more free time with no more exams or uni work for a little bit before I start my next course. In addition, I'm thinking of a few ideas for my channel. I'm planning on sort of releasing general tanking tips in conjunction with tips for certain types of content if it is desired. And naturally I also have quite a few DPS characters, though I feel like I don't have that much experience in comparison to my tanking. But look, if you guys want to hear something about my DPS characters, maybe VMA guides for lower CP, things like that, then I am happy and open to do those. It's really just depending on demand. I don't want to release content that's ultimately not going to be seen if it's not something that is, well, in demand or useful to individuals. So, as always, I appreciate any support you guys want to give me, any criticism, comments, you know, or ideas for further videos. It's all very positive and good. So, yeah, hopefully see you all in another video, and that's all for me. So, bye for now, and hope you all have a good day.